What's up, everyone? Nick from Comic Culture here. Time for Nick at Night, my weekly comic book review show. Let's get into the books I read this week. So, gonna go ahead and put my grading scale up. You know how this works. I'm gonna introduce the cover of the book, put it on the grading scale so you can see how they stack up against each other. Let's get into Marvel real quick with the Incredible Hulk issue number 7. So Nick Klein continuing to kill it on this little team up or battle against the Ghost Rider. There is a new Ghost Rider, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. We have Hulk and we have his companion here. They are traveling around right now, trying to understand what this evil is that's awakening all these beasts that are attacking them. And they find themselves over in Texas, I believe. They're in this little village and this child is protected by the spirit of vengeance. There's this old World War I, World War II bike sitting around. It's kind of rusting away. Whenever there's a threat that comes by, this bike comes alive with the spirit of vengeance and, you know, helps take care of whatever threat there is. Of course, Hulk is in town right now, so it's misinterpreting Hulk as a threat, and it's coming alive right now and attacking Hulk. But there is actually another demon around, and the Hulk and the Ghost Rider need to team up and take care of this threat. I love these last two issues because it was a cool team up between Hulk and Ghost Rider, whatever Ghost Rider this is. The art is spectacular in here. Of course, we revert back into Hulk kind of taking the main stage as the bad guy towards the end of this, and then we see some more demons popping up as well. So like, I almost wish it was just nothing but this, just like these two people teaming up and taking on these demons, because I like the way that they were able to combine their powers and take on this threat. So last two issues of Hulk have been really good, but again, we're kind of dragging this narrative on right now. I really want to see who the main bad guy is and what like the point of all this is. We're 7 issues in. Cool art when Nick Klein's on it. Yeah, but they're kind of like one-off episodic issues right now. I don't know. What are you guys thinking? Let me know. Marvel Gods issue number 3. This book is huge and I don't hear a whole lot of people talking about it. Some major things are happening inside of this issue. It's a very subtle series so far. Of course, Jonathan Hickman is writing it. He's taking his time introducing a lot of concepts, a lot of people. There's this whole like under the surface magic world that's going on right now in the Marvel universe, and this is really exploring it. So if you're looking for a deep, rich, full of detail, lots of nuance, magic-related book in Marvel, this is the book to go to. There's like no reference at all to all the other crap that's going on inside the Marvel universe. Really cool characters dealing with threats that are completely going to annihilate just everything. In fact, we have a universal constant that comes in, perhaps the ultimate constant that comes inside of this book, and we get introduced to it through the eyes of this Cassandra character. This Cassandra character can kind of like see the future, piece things together, and is trying to do whatever she can to take out this threat before it completely annihilates everything. And man, we get some really cool action. Again, some subtle conversation, but leads to extraordinarily large events later on. The artwork is spectacular in this book. The vibe is really cool. It's definitely a vibe book. I like to get into this world. I like to feel what's going on inside of here. Again, it's just so cool what's happening inside of Gods. You gotta be reading this book. Check it out. All right, we're gonna jump over to DC. We have Wonder Woman issue number 4 from Tom King. It's just another example of Tom King's writing kind of getting a little bit out of hand in a way. I like the art style. The art style is really beautiful. It's very clean, very crisp, very thin lines. I love everything that's going on right here. Wonder Woman's kind of like doing a Make-A-Wish thing right now, which, I mean, the whole idea of that is spectacular. I loved it. It was cool. Was it a little heavy-handed? Oh yeah, absolutely. Did it just give us, 20 more layers of how awesome Wonder Woman is? Yep, it sure did. Did it progress the story forward at all? Absolutely not. We do see like an American rebuttal to what happened in the previous issue. The main guy who's kind of over all this stuff is trying to turn the main media and everybody against Wonder Woman. So he fakes this whole event. One of the soldiers takes his own life because his mind was poisoned by this guy. He blames Wonder Woman for it. And so the scale's tilting towards hatred for Wonder Woman right now across the world. But yet she's doing all these little acts of kindness as well to like this Make-A-Wish kid, which is, beautiful in its own right. But again, it was pretty heavy-handed and we didn't exactly need it, I don't think. But again, I guess if we're telling like a real slow burn story of how the narrative shifts towards against Wonder Woman, mission accomplished, right? What I was more interested in is this whole Trinity backstory in here between John Damon and Lizzie, I think her name is. She was actually taken over by some little dream monster, and she's living like a fantasy right now, but it's going to kill her. So Damien and John have to figure out a way to get this thing off of her. The banter between those two characters is hilarious. Where is this book? This is the book I want from Tom King right now, not Wonder Woman. This is the book I want. So cool. Yeah, the backstory is spectacular. Wonder Woman, very heavy-handed, man. It's layering it on pretty thick, and we're on issue number 4, and it's taking its time building up this hatred towards Wonder Woman, but very clean art. So, man, if you're a diehard Wonder Woman fan, or you just love everything Tom King puts out, maybe pick it up, but yeah, just be warned. Batman Off-World issue number 2, Jason Aaron on this one. This is a great book. Again, it's another Batman book that's out, but this one's really cool because he finds himself lost in space on like this alien prison ship in a way. They're forced to do labor, and he's kind of perceived as the weakest thing on the ship right now because he's from Earth, because he doesn't have gnarly skulls and bones and antlers and stuff, and horns, whatever, spikes, claws. So he's really underappreciated in here, and he's trying to learn from all these different alien races the different fighting styles needed to take all of them on. So he's constantly doing these training sessions with this punch bot, which has a whole little personality that's hilarious. And Batman's learning all the different ways to take on all these alien threats and really honing in his skills and making some alliances on the ship so he can get back to Gotham, get back to the people he loves. And yeah, he's a little bit in over his head in this book, but he's really honing in and siphoning the power of the bat, right? And the fear that comes along with that, the experience that he has in taking on these different aliens. Such a cool book. Definitely check it out. The art is spectacular and Off-World as well. We're only 2 issues in. Check this one out. Lotus Land, issue number 2 from Boom Studios. What a great issue number 1. Left us with a lot of questions, though. Not a whole lot of answers. We basically get a retired detective. He's got some kind of superpower. We're bringing him back into this latest mystery to help the unit solve whatever's going on. There's some mysterious deaths, some weird brainwashing thing going on. We don't exactly know what's happening right here, but this issue uncovers the mystery a little bit more, brings in some of the past partners of our main characters and some of the demons that they are facing as well. Amazing artwork in here. If you're into dark detective stories with a little bit of a supernatural or more sci-fi twist to them, I would really recommend picking up Lotus Land. Again, it's a very subtle book. It takes its time to breathe. There's some really cool moments in here. Again, leaving us with a few questions as well. So we're building out this story right now. And again, if you like those grizzled old guys that used to work on the force, but they're brought back in to help take on whatever the latest crime is that they can't solve, the book is definitely for you, especially if you like a little sci-fi twist. So Lotus Land, great writing, great creative team on here. Check this one out. All right, next book from Boom Studios was Animal Pound, issue number 1 from Tom King. And if you haven't figured it out by now, Tom King is very hit or miss for me, honestly. He's written some of the best stuff I've ever read. He's written some of the worst stuff I ever read. This unfortunately falls towards the worst. So I got about halfway through and I almost couldn't get through the book. The main premise is we have a series of, dogs and cats. They're locked up right now. Of course, there's just awful stuff going on. There's euthanasia happening. And these cats and dogs are teaming up together. They're able to communicate with each other. And they come up with a plan on how to escape, kill all the different people in the pound, and basically take the pound over. And they force all these different humans out. So they eventually end up doing that, and now they're all hunkered down, but there's a couple threats that are inside still that some of the animals perceive, and they're going to have to figure out what to do with that going forward. So yes, it's a very familiar story, of course, but I will say, there is just way too much dialogue inside of this book. I got to a point where I stopped reading parts of it. I don't know if it was just the overall narration that's happening in the background, and then I just stuck to the animals dialogue back and forth. But at some point I'm like, oh my God, I just can't do this. About halfway through the book, it was so heavy-handed. So this one, unfortunately, I really can't recommend it, to be honest with you, because I didn't have a great experience with it. But, try it, man. Try it yourself. See if you like it. Let me know if you do. What did I miss in this one? Animal Pound number 1. No. Rare Flavors issue number 3 from Rom V. We have Felipe Andrade on here as well. Spectacular book, man. This is the exact opposite. This is an example of when you can have some dialogue, but it's actually meaningful and it adds flavor to the actual story itself. We have this weird god creature that has come back to Earth. He's living his life right now. He's sampling the best flavors of the world, what the world has to offer, but his specific taste is related to humans and the way that they can overcome maturity mature, develop, hone in their craft. He loves to study people. He likes to find people at the top of their game, and he appreciates the level of effort and maturity and just like hard work it takes to get to that point in their life. And then he eats them because it's the best flavor in the world. He like consumes that essence. It's just such a beautiful concept. It's a gnarly concept, but it's also beautiful when you think about it. This guy's got a unique passion. He's surrounding himself with people that he thinks he can push that passion into and kind of pull that back out of them to, I guess, later eat them. But some of the people are a little bit freaked out that he's able to do this. And there's like an old order of assassins or whoever they might be, the rivaling gods that are trying to find this guy, hunt him down, and take him out. The artwork is spectacular in here. This issue is really great because we dropped some realizations. Issue number 3 style. This main character demon has hired this guy to film their adventures and whatnot, and he starts to learn the evil truth about his companion right here. So what an extraordinary book. Definitely check this one out if you're a Rom V fan. It's an absolute no-brainer. If you're not, check out a book like this, man. It's really, really cool. If you liked Many Deaths of Layla Starr, I think you're going to like this book too because they're very similar in some ways. So check this one out. It's awesome. All right, next book we read from Dark Horse Comics, we have Canary issue number 2 from Scott Snyder. Now, I did not read the original run over in Comixology, but I did pick it up in physical format, and I'm loving this story so far. We have this ghost that's basically haunting this valley, right? This cave system. There's a big collapse. Lots of people lost their lives. His spirit is still around. Our main guy here has experience with this psychotic dude from the past, and he thinks he took care of him, but there's something in the back of his mind that tells him he's a little bit more than what most people think. He's some kind of a demon or a spirit, and now he's back haunting this land right now, possessing people to do some pretty crazy things. So we have a whole team of people trying to uncover the truth in this cave collapse, this mine collapse, and what kind of evils lurk inside of there. Of course, we got some locals trying to protect the land because they understand about the demonic power that's in here. We have some other locals that are trying to restore this town back to its brilliance that it once had. And then we have our main dude right here who's just trying to get to the bottom of everything and solve the case for the day. So Canary, really interesting. If you're into demon kind of books, if you like Westerns, you like that vibe, and you don't mind an extra size format, man, this book is really cool. You should check it out. Beyond Real issue number 1. This book was everywhere in the past couple of weeks. I think a lot of comp copies hit all the stores because we had a gigantic stack of them, and I know we didn't order that many books. But Beyond Real from Vault, Zach Kaplan is on this one. And, you know, I like a lot of stuff that Zach Kaplan puts out. This one I couldn't really resonate with. I've seen a lot of positive reviews for this book, but it was just something that I couldn't resonate with. We have this couple who's traveling around. They're having a lot of existential questions or conversations, rather. You know, is life part of some kind of a grand simulator, things like that. She's more artistic. She likes free will. She likes being able to create something from scratch. She likes to be in control of her own destiny. He's more analytical. He's thinking like, oh, the evidence is out there that we're living in some kind of a controlled environment. Some kind of an accident happens. He goes into a coma. Something unlocks inside of her, and she starts to kind of see the Matrix throughout this whole comic right here. And she starts interacting with maybe like a higher power in a way. Some kind of like a computer admin. She's trying to break the code, trying to figure out what exactly is going on. And she might have developed some kind of a power set as well. And again, she's kind of seeing the Matrix at this point, trying to uncover what it all means. Again, comparing it to her current viewpoint of the world, it's very different. She has a different mindset. And so, yeah, Beyond Real was interesting. And I'm glad they threw a lot of copies out there just so we can get it in people's hands and people can read stuff from Vault and from Zach Kaplan. I think that's a really cool thing. But at the end of the day, I think it's a so-so comic with decent writing, decent artwork as well. Let me know what you guys thought. Going over to Massive, we have Sean Murphy's Plot Holes. This is the final issue number 5 of this first arc. Again, a book I think that hit Kickstarter and then eventually came to physical print. This is my first time reading it, and so we're through the first arc right now. And I'd say overall, it's not a bad comic at all. It's actually really fun. I like the blend of characters in here. We've went over the premise a few different times. Basically, we have this situation where all these different stories, books, movies, all these universes exist in real time, for real, for those characters. And we have this one team of people that's able to hop from book to book, story to story, and fix all the editorial errors that have happened in there. So if you write a World War II book and it doesn't take place during the actual timeline, these editors can hop in there and kind of like manipulate stuff or do whatever they need to do to fix it. But there's this evil that has been lurking, going from book to book, destroying those whole universes. And so we have this team that's been put together from these different books to help stop all those things. And they're kind of like the editors in this world. Of course, there's like stories within inside of stories. The main editor here, she has a husband who's kind of in control of this editing program. It's a whole complicated thing. And we have some kind of a redemption arc for this villain because he was a former teammate, things like that. Again, cool cast of characters. We lose a few, but we also expand on a few towards the end of this book, perfectly setting up a volume 2 at some point. So that'll be something interesting. Plot holes, really cool read. Pick up the trade if you haven't yet. I would recommend this one. Kill Your Darlings. We have issue number 4 from Parker and Sheridan. This is a really cool issue. This is a really cool book with this awesome little wraparound cover. I just noticed that as well. Awesome artwork, but again, it's all about magic. It's about imagination. It's about what happens when evil takes over your mind. It uses your own imagination against you, possesses your friends, kind of puts you in a position where you have nothing you can do to stop this threat from absolutely taking over everything. This little girl, overactive imagination, her imaginary friends, all of her creations from her childhood end up coming alive and attacking her. We're trying to figure out exactly why, I guess, right now. There's an evil, or like there's a witch presence from back in the day who was wrongfully accused and brutally murdered. And so maybe that's like a spirit coming back and mixing with this girl's powers at the same time. So we're trying to figure a lot of things out still right now. But again, the art is beautiful in this book. I keep showing you pages because I keep finding all these cool things to show off right here. So Kill Your Darlings is a really interesting book. If you like demon, possession, fairyland kinds of books, I think you're going to really like this one too. There's also an adult theme in here, not from like any kind of sexual thing, but like it's high gore at points as well. So if you're into that kind of stuff, man, check out Kill Your Darlings because I think it's going under the radar right now and it's been a lot of fun. Hexagon Bridge from Image Comics. Richard Blake is on this one. One of the most stylish comics I have ever seen before. This is going to make an amazing trade read. So if you haven't been picking this issue up yet or the story up yet, we're 4 issues in. I would recommend hanging out for the trade because this is a really, really cool book and I would like to see what kind of presentation they come up with. I think a hardcover would be really amazing. The interior artwork is just so clean. Everything looks like a painting. It's absolutely beautiful. But we have all these different worlds right now. They're connected via these jump points or these hexagon bridges. We have an organization that's learning how to navigate those. We have a girl right now who has like medium powers in a way. She can sense the presence of other people important to her in her life that have been missing for a long time. She can sense their presence in certain areas, different realities, and she has a robot companion that's with her trying to navigate all these areas and trying to bring her family back. Of course, they run into all these other life forms, either they're real or they're robotic, depending on which little world that they're in, and they all team up and try to help our main characters get their family back. But of course, there's threats and whatnot that they pop up into. And yeah, it's a really cool, interesting book. It doesn't take very long to get through. It's a very satisfying read for sure. Again, the art is spectacular, and the style of the book is what really makes it awesome for me. So yeah, Hexagon Bridge. Again, if you're not reading it right now, great trade read. Put it on one of those lists and pick it up when it's finally collected because it was definitely worth it. G.I. Joe Real American Hero 302, right? Yeah, we're on 302. Got those black and white covers because I got the first one in black and white, and I'm probably going to just continue that trend. G.I. Joe, a blind spot in my childhood. Came in a little bit after G.I. Joe was already established and starting to fade away a little bit. Got a lot of hand-me-down toys from my older brothers, but I appreciate the IP, and I'm excited to get into it, especially with Duke #1 coming out very soon. But I wanted to jump in early with this series here, see what's going on. Larry Hama is on here. Art is spectacular. I'm really liking that a lot. But basically, we have a bomb that went off, and it turned a lot of people into these like mutants, but they also have their cognitive function in a way so they can organize themselves and take on Cobra. Of course, we have the G.I. Joes. We have everybody kind of sitting in the background trying to figure out what the next move is, and they've noticed this bomb has gone off, and they're about to hit landfall, and all hell's going to break loose. So we have all these different teams kind of preparing for this big battle to happen, and which is pretty interesting. I would say it doesn't do... Maybe it does an okay job of introducing people who are not familiar with this universe. I think in the previous issue, 301, it did have a little bit of an introduction page. But since then, I'm kind of like, who's this person? Like, what are they doing? Again, a blind spot for me. Others might feel that same way, but you longtime guys will read this and be like, oh yeah, I can't believe they're continuing that arc. And oh, he's still with her or she's still with him. Isn't that cool? I'm sure a lot of you guys are having those conversations too. I just can't. But it's interesting enough for a newbie like me to jump in here and think that it's pretty cool. And I'll try to keep reading it and see what's going on. G.I. Joe, Real American Hero 302. We have Duke coming up next week as well. Can't wait for that one. All right, next book we got is Geiger Ground Zero issue number 2, the conclusion of this origin story for Geiger. We have a little bit of an origin story in the original run, but this one flushes a few things out, retells some of the different parts we saw in the original run, but this one again adds a little bit more context, adds a couple more people, and actually introduces us to the scientist, at least expands on the scientist who developed this bomb that has went off all over the world, and it increased the amount of like radiation or the way that it distributed through the world or through the sky, something like that, and essentially created Geiger. So we have an origin story in a way. We have a reason for him to be alive, and we also have the tale of his early days, and this is what we're seeing inside of this book. This is pre-opening the bunker, so if you've read the original Geiger, you know there's a bunker involved in there, so this is before then. He doesn't exactly know what's beyond there. This is the origin of those rods that he has as well. The scientist actually helps discover that he needs these and develops them and teaches him how to use it and how to control some of his powers. Gary Frank is on here with that amazing artwork as well. There's a lot of cool twists and turns. This is an absolute must read if you're into Geiger. If you want to continue that storyline and you're going into Ghost Machine, this 2-issue run is an absolute must read because again, it gives you that amazing context, that additional layer of information about our main hero, how he got to where he is, so we can see where he's going in the future. We also got a little bit of a epilogue for Junkyard Joe on here as well, and I thought that was really amazing, just kind of seeing the evolution of that character. I can't wait to see more from that character as well. This universe is going to explode in 2024, and I am all about it. We got Ghost Machine coming up pretty soon, and we got a lot of other runs hitting the stands as well throughout the year. So guys, Ground Zero, Geiger issue number 2, must read if you're getting into this universe. Definitely check it out. So guys, that's everything I read this week. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know down below in the comments what you read and what your favorite books of the week were. While you're down there, like, subscribe, share, hit that bell notification so you are alerted when I put out a new video. Thanks again for watching. See you in the comments.